From the Jewel of Jollymore, the Theatre Arts Guild proudly presents Behind the Beyond by Stephen Leacock, starring Mark DeWolf, Hannah Blizzard, Charles Bull, and Heather Mills, with special appearances by Bill Van Gorder and Jenny Martinishin. And now, we present to you your host for the evening, Professor Stephen Leacock.
The curtain rises, disclosing the ushers of the theatre still moving up and down the aisles. Cries of "Program! Program!" are heard. There is a buzz of brilliant conversation, illuminated with flashes of opera glasses and the rattle of expensive jewellery. Then, suddenly, almost unexpectedly, in fact, just as if done, so to speak, by machinery, the lights all over the theatre, except on stage, are extinguished. Absolute silence falls. Here and there is heard the crackle of a shirt front, but there is no other sound. In the expectant hush, a man in a check tweed suit walks on the stage. Only one man, one single man, because if he had been accompanied by a chorus, that would have been a burlesque. If 4 citizens in togas had been with him, that would have been Shakespeare. If 2 Russian soldiers had walked after him, that would have been melodrama. But this is none of these. This is a problem play. So he steps in, alone, all alone, and with that absolute finish of step, that ability to walk as if, how can one express it? As if he were walking, that betrays the finished actor. He has, in fact, barely had time to lay down his silk hat when he is completely betrayed. You can see that he is a finished actor, finished about 15 years ago. He lays the hat hollow side up on the silk hat table on the stage right centre, bearing north-northeast, half point west from the red mica fire on the stage which warms the theatre. All of this is done very, very quietly, very impressively. No one in the theatre has ever seen a man lay a silk hat on a table before, and so there is a breathless hush. Then he takes off his gloves, one by one, not 2 or 3 at a time, and lays them in his hat. The expectancy is almost painful. If he had thrown his gloves into the mica fire, it would have been a relief, but he doesn't. The man on the stage picks up a pile of letters from the letter department of the hat table. There are a great many of these letters, because all his business correspondence, as well as his private letters, are sent here by the General Post Office. Getting his letters in this way at night, he is able to read them like lightning. Some of them he merely holds upside down for a fraction of a second. Then, at last, he speaks.
So...
It has become absolutely necessary, or he wouldn't do it.
So, Sao Paulo risen 2. Rio Tinto down again. More be anxious. Better sell for £500,000 sterling.
Did you hear that? £500,000 sterling, and he takes it just as quietly as that. And it isn't really in the play either. Sao Paulo and Rio Tinto just come in to let you know the sort of man you're dealing with.
Lady Gathorne dinner Thursday the 9th. Lunch with the ambassador Friday the 10th.
And, mind you, even this is just patter. The ambassador doesn't come into the play either. He and Lady Gathorne are just put in to let the people in the cheaper seats know the kind of thing they're up against. The man steps across the stage and presses a button. A bell rings. Even before it has finished ringing, nay, just before it begins to ring, a cardboard door swings aside and a valet enters. You can tell he is a valet because he is dressed in the usual home dress of a stage valet.
Did you ring, Sir John?
There is a rustle of programmes all over the house. You can hear a buzz of voices say, "He's Sir John Trevor." They're all on to him. When the valet says,
Did you ring, Sir John?
he ought to answer,
No, I merely knocked the bell over to see how it would sound.
but he misses it and doesn't say it.
Has her ladyship come home?
Yes, Sir John.
Has anyone been here?
Mr. Harding, Sir John?
Anyone else?
No, Sir John.
Very good.
The valet bows and goes out of the cardboard door, and everybody in the theatre, or at least everybody in the seats, worth over $1, knows that there's something strange in the relations of Lady Cicely Trevor and Mr. Harding. You notice, Mr. Harding was there and no one else was there. That's enough in a problem play. The double door at the back of the stage, used only by the principal characters, is opened, and Lady Cicely Trevor enters. She is young and very beautiful, and wears a droopy hat and long, slinky clothes which she drags across the stage. She throws down her feather hat and her crepe-de-what-you-call-it boa on the boa stand. Later on, the valet comes in and gathers them up. He is always gathering up things like this on the stage, hats and boas and walking sticks thrown away by the actors. But nobody notices him. They are his perquisites.
Shall I ring for tea?
Thanks, no.
This shows that they are the kind of people who can have tea at any time. All through a problem play, it is understood that any of the characters may ring for tea and get it. Tea in a problem play is the same as whiskey in a melodrama.
Have you been out?
Yes, the usual round.
He might almost have guessed it from her coming in a hat and cloak, but Sir John is an English baronet.
Tea with the Duchess of Albany and the Princess Helena. The Duchess of Fife was showcasing her latest portraits, and the Duchess of Portland's latest edition is, so adorable.
Lady Cicely does this for the general good of the audience.
You are going out?
Yes, immediately.
To the house, I suppose.
This is very impressive. It doesn't mean, as you might think, the workhouse or the White House or the station house or the Bon Marché. It is the name given by people in Lady Cicely's class to the House of Commons.
Yes, I'm extremely sorry. I had hoped I might ask to go with you to the opera. I fear it is impossible. An important sitting. The ministers will bring down the papers. The Kafunistan business. The House will probably divide in committee. Gatherton will ask a question. We must stop it at all costs. The fate of the party hangs on it.
Sir John has risen. His manner has changed. His look is altered. It is now that of a statesman. The technical details have gone to his head. He can't stop. He goes on. While Sir John speaks, Lady Cicely's manner has been that of utter weariness. She has picked up the London Times and thrown it aside, taken up a copy of Punch and let it fall with a thud to the floor, looked idly at a piece of music and decided, evidently, not to sing it. Sir John runs out of technical terms and stops. The dialogue has clearly brought out the following points. Sir John is in the House of Commons. Lady Cicely is not. Sir John is 25 years older than Lady Cicely. He doesn't see, isn't he a fool, when everybody in the gallery can see it, that his parliamentary work, which absorbs him, is meaningless to her, that her life is insufficient. That's it. Lady Cicely is being starved. All that she has is money, position, clothes, and jewellery. These things starve any woman. They cramp her. That's what makes a problem play.
Are you taking Mr. Harding with you?
Why?
Nothing. I thought perhaps I might ask him to take me to the opera. Puffy is to sing.
Oh, do, pray do. Take Harding with you by all means. Poor boy, do take him with you.
He looks at Lady Cicely very quietly for a moment. There is a slight change in his voice.
Do you know, Cicely, I've been rather troubled about Harding lately. There's something the matter with the boy, something wrong.
Yes?
He seems abstracted, moody. I think, in fact I'm sure, that the boy is in love.
Yes?
Lady Cicely has turned slightly pale.
Trust the instinct of an old man, my dear. There's a woman in it. We old parliamentary hands are very shrewd, you know, even in these things. Someone is playing the devil with Jack, with Harding.
Sir John is now putting on his gloves again and gathering up his parliamentary papers from the parliamentary paper stand on the left. He cannot see the change in Lady Cicely's face. He is not meant to see it. But even the little girls in the 10th row of the gallery are right onto it.
Talk to Harding. Get it out of him. You women can do these things. Find out what the trouble is and let me know. I must help him.
Sir John is speaking almost to himself. And the gallery.
I promised his mother when she sent him home, sent him to England, that I would.
You knew Mr. Harding's mother very well?
Very well.
That was long ago, wasn't it?
Long ago.
Was she married then?
No, not then.
Here in London?
Yes, in London. I was only a barrister then, with my way to make, and she a famous beauty.
Sir John is speaking with a forced levity that doesn't deceive even the ushers.
She married Harding of the Guards. They went to India, and there he spent her fortune and broke her heart.
You have seen her since?
Oh, never.
She's never written you?
Only once. She sent her boy home and wrote to me for help. That was how I took him in as my secretary.
And that was why he came to us in Italy 2 years ago, just after our marriage.
Yes, that was why.
Does Mr. Harding know
Know what?
that you knew his mother?
No, I have never talked with him about his mother's early life. There, 8 o'clock. I must go. I shall be late at the house. Goodbye.
He moves over to Lady Cicely and kisses her. There is softness in his manner, such softness that he forgets the bundle of parliamentary papers that he had laid down. Sir John goes out. Lady Cicely stands looking fixedly at the fire.
How his voice changed 25 years ago. So long as that. I wonder if Jack knows.
There is heard the ring of a bell off the stage. The valet enters.
Mr. Harding is downstairs, my lady.
Show him up, Ransom.
A moment later, Mr. Harding enters. He is a narrow young man in a frock coat. His face is weak. It has to be. Mr. Harding is meant to typify weakness. Lady Cicely walks straight to him. She puts her 2 hands on his shoulders and looks right into his face.
My darling!
Just like that. In capital letters. You can feel the thrill of it run through the orchestra chairs. All the audience look at Mr. Harding, some with opera glasses, others with eyeglasses on sticks. They can see that he is just the sort of ineffectual young man that a starved woman in a problem play goes mad over.
My darling, my
She
darling,
tries
my
to disengage
darling,
himself.
My darling, my
She won't
darling,
let him.
Shall I ring for tea?
If you wish. I won't have any. Jack, I can't go on any longer. I can't. When first you loved me, I thought I could, but I can't. It throttles me here, this house, this life, everything.
She has drawn him to a sofa and has sunk down in a wave at his feet.
Do you remember, Jack, when first you came in Italy that night at Amalfi when we sat on the piazza of the Palazzo?
She is looking rapturously into his face.
Oh, yes.
And that day at Fiesole among the orange trees, and Pisa, and the Cappello di Teresa, and the Mona Lisa. Oh, Jack, take me away from all of this. Take me to Riviera, among the contadini, where we can stand together with my head on your shoulder, just as we did at the Duomo at Milano. Or at the Piaggio at Verona. Take me to Corfu, to the Camposanto, to Civitavecchia, to Paranoia, anywhere.
He is smothered with her kisses.
My dearest, I will. I will.
Any man in the audience would do as much. They'd take her to Honolulu.
No, thank you, Ransom. I'll get them myself. I know just where I left them.
Sir John enters hurriedly, advances and picks up his papers on the table, turns and stands. He sees his wife's attitude and hears her say, Riviera, Amalfi, Orangieri, Contadini and Cappello Santo. It is enough. He drops his parliamentary papers. They fall against the fire irons with a crash. These, in falling, upset a small table with one leg. The ball of wool that is on it falls to the floor. The noise of this disturbs the lovers. They turn. All 3 of them look at one another. For a moment they make a motion as if to ring for tea. Then they stand, petrified.
You!
She does this awfully well. Everybody says afterwards that it was just splendid when she said, You!
Him? My God, he?
Mr. Harding says nothing. He looks very weak. Lady Cicely unpetrifies first. She breaks out, speaking through her nostrils.
Yes! I love him! I love him! I'm not ashamed of it. What right have you to deny me it? You gave me nothing. You made me a chattel, a thing.
You can feel the rustle of indignation through the house at this. To make a woman a thing is the crowning horror of a problem play.
You starved me here! You throttled me!
Lady Cicely takes herself by the neck and throttles herself a little to show how.
You smothered me and I couldn't breathe. And now I'm going. Do you hear? I'm going away to life, to love, behind the beyond.
She gathers up Mr. Harding and carries him passionately away. He looks back weakly as he goes. Sir John has sunk down upon a chair. His face is set.
Jack! My God, Jack!
As he sits there, the valet enters with a telegram on a tray.
A telegram, Sir John.
What?
A telegram, sir. A cablegram.
Sir John takes it, opens it, and reads aloud.
He is dead. My duty is ended. I am coming home. Margaret Harding. Margaret, coming home. Oh, it only needed that. My God!
As he says it, the curtain falls. The lights flick up. There is a great burst of applause. The curtain rises and falls. Lady Cicely and Mr. Harding and Sir John all come out and bow charmingly. There is no trace of worry on their faces, and they hold one another's hands. Then the curtain falls and the orchestra breaks out into a Winter Garden waltz. The boxes buzz with discussion. Some of the people think that Lady Cicely is right in claiming the right to realise herself. Others think that before realising herself, she should have developed herself. Others ask indignantly how she could know herself if her husband refused to let her be herself. But everybody feels that the subject is a delicious one. Those of the people who have seen the play before very kindly explain how it ends, so as to help the rest to enjoy it. But the more serious-minded of the men have risen very gently and are sneaking up the aisles. Their expression is stamped with deep thought, as if pondering over the play, but their step is as that of leopards on the march, and no one is deceived as to their purpose. The music continues. The discussion goes on. The leopards come stealing back. The orchestra boils over in a cadence and stops. The theatre is darkened again. The footlights come on with a flash. The curtain silently lifts, and it is Act 2, 6 months later. The programmes rustle. The people look to see where it is, and they find that it is an apartment in Paris. Notice that this place, which is used in every problem play, is just called an apartment. It is not called Mr. Harding's apartment, or an apartment for which Mr. Harding pays the rent. Not a bit. It is just an apartment. Even if it were a apartment, it would feel easier, but an apartment. The very word gives the audience a delicious shiver of uncomfortableness. When the curtain rises, it discloses a French maid moving about the stage in $4 silk stockings. She is setting things on a little table, evidently for supper. She explains this in French as she does it so as to make it clear.
Bon, la serviette de monsieur. Bon, la serviette de madame. Bien. Du champagne. Bon. Langouste aux champignons. Bien. Bon.
This is all the French she knows, poor little thing. But langouste aux champignons beats the audience, so she's all right. Anyway, this supper scene has to come in. It is symbolical. You can't really show Amalfi and Fiesole and the orange trees, so this kind of supper takes its place. As the maid moves about, there is a loud knock at the cardboard door of the apartment. A man in official clothes sticks his head in. He is evidently a postal special messenger because he is all in postal attire with a postal glazed hat.
Monsieur Harding?
Oui?
Bon, une lettre.
Merci, monsieur.
He goes out. The audience feels a thrill of pride at having learned French and being able to follow the intense realism of this dialogue. The maid lays the letter on the supper table. Just as she does it, the door opens and there enter Mr. Harding and Lady Cicely. Yes, them, both of them. The audience catches it like a flash. They live here. Lady Cicely throws aside her cloak. There is great gaiety in her manner. Her face is paler. There is a bright spot in each cheek. Her eyes are very bright. There follows the well-known supper scene. Lady Cicely is very gay. She pours champagne into Mr. Harding's glass. They both drink from it.
Are you a happy boy, Jack?
I am.
She runs her fingers through his hair. He kisses her on the bare shoulder. This also is symbolic.
Such a romantic adventure. Moonlit walk amongst the orange trees in Fiesole. A cruise along the Amalfi coastline. Do you recall that night in the olive trees at Santa Clara with that lone thrush singing in the night sky?
I do.
I don't think you do.
I do. In fact, I remember the very thrush.
You can see from the talk that they have been all over Baedeker's Guide to the Adriatic. Lady Cicely's animation breaks. She falls into a fit of coughing and presses her hand to her side. Mr. Harding looks at her apprehensively.
It is nothing. Silly boy. It'll be gone in a moment. It is only because I am so happy.
Then, quite suddenly, she breaks down and falls at Mr. Harding's knees.
Oh, Jack! Jack, I can't stand it any longer. It is choking me.
My darling, what is it?
All of this, it is choking me. This apartment, these pictures, the French maid. All of it. I can't stand it. I'm being suffocated. Oh, Jack, take me away. Take me to somewhere where it's quiet. Take me to Norway, to the great solemn hills and the fjords.
Then suddenly, Mr. Harding sees the letter in its light blue envelope lying on the supper table. It has been lying right beside him for 10 minutes. Everybody in the theatre could see it and was getting uncomfortable about it. He clutches it and tears it open. There is a hunted look in his face as he reads.
What is it?
My mother. Good God, she is coming. She is at the Bristol and is coming here. What can I do?
Does she know?
I don't know. I can't imagine. I knew when I saw in the papers that my father was dead that she would come home. But I kept back the address. I told the solicitors, curse them, to keep it a secret. What am I
Mr. Harding paces the stage,
What can I
giving
do?
an imitation
Jack?
of a weak man
Jack?
trapped.
What am I going to do?
Jack!
What?
There is only one thing to do. Tell her.
Tell her?
Yes, tell her. About our love. About everything. I'm not ashamed. Let her judge me.
Mr. Harding sinks into a chair. He keeps shivering.
I tell you I can't. I can't. She wouldn't understand.
The letter is fluttering in his hand. His face is contemptible. He does it splendidly. Lady Cicely picks the letter from his hand. She reads it aloud, her eyes widening as she reads.
Hotel Bristol, Paris, my darling boy. I have found you at last. Why have you sought to avoid me? God grant there is nothing wrong. He is dead. The man I taught you to call father. And I can tell you all now, I'm coming to you this instant, Margaret Harding!
As Lady Cicely reads, her voice chokes with horror. She advances to him and grips his hand.
What does it mean? Jack, tell me! What does it mean?
Good God, Cicely, don't speak like that.
These lines about your father.
I don't know what it means. I don't care. I hated him, the brute. I'm glad he's dead. I don't care for that. But she's coming here any minute, and I can't face it.
Jack, tell me, did Sir John Trevor ever tell you about your father?
No, he never spoke of him.
Did he know him?
Yes, I think so, long ago. But they were enemies. Trevor challenged him to a duel over some woman, and he wouldn't fight, the cur.
I understand it now. Listen, there is time yet. Go to the hotel. Go at once. Tell your mother nothing. Nothing! You understand? Keep her from coming here. Anything, but not that. Ernestine! A taxi! At once!
She hurriedly gets Harding's hat and coat. The stage is full of bustle. There is a great sense of hurry. The audience are in agony for fear Ernestine is too slow or calls a four-wheel cab by mistake. If the play is really well put on, you can presently hear the taxi buzzing outside. Mr. Harding goes to kiss Lady Cicely.
No!
She puts him from her in horror and hastens him out.
Ernestine! Quick! Put my things, anything, into a valise.
Madame is going away?
Yes, at once.
Madame will not eat?
No.
Madame will not first rest?
The slow comprehension of these French maids is something exasperating.
Madame will not away, monsieur? Madame will not first eat, nor drink? No? Madame will not sleep?
No! Quick! Ernestine, bring me what I want. Summon a fiacre. I shall be ready in a moment.
Lady Cicely passes through a side door into an inner room. She is scarcely gone when Mrs. Harding enters. She is a woman about 45, still very beautiful. She is dressed in deep black. The play is now moving very fast. You have to sit tight to follow it all.
Is this Mr. Harding's apartment?
Yes, madame.
Is he here?
No, madame. He's gone this moment in a taxi. To the Hotel Bristol, I heard him say.
Is anyone here?
No, madame. No one. Milady was here a moment ago. She too has gone out.
This is a lie, but of course the maid is a French maid.
Then it is true. There is someone.
She is just saying this when the bell rings, the door opens, and there enters Sir John Trevor.
You!
I am too late.
After all these years!
It is a long time.
You have not changed.
She has taken his hands and is looking into his face.
I have thought of you so often in all these bitter years. It sustained me even at the worst. And I knew, John, that it was for my sake that you had never married.
As she goes on talking, the audience realize with a thrill that Mrs. Harding does not know that Sir John married 2 years ago, that she has come home, as she thought, to the man who loved her. And more than that, they get another thrill when they realize Lady Cicely is learning it too. She has pushed the door half open and is standing there unseen, listening. She wears a hat and cloak. There is a folded letter in her hand. Her eyes are wide.
And now, John, I want your help. Only you can help me. You are so strong. My Jack, I must save him.
She looks about the room. Something seems to overcome her.
Oh, John, this place, his being here like this, it seems a judgment on us.
The audience are getting it fast now.
For our awful moment of folly. This is the retribution of our own sins.
They grasp it and shiver with the luxury of it.
Our wretched boy. We must save him.
They all know why she says, our.
I realized. I knew. He is not alone here.
He is not alone.
But this woman, can you not deal with her? Persuade her. Beg her for my sake. Bribe her to leave my boy.
There is no bribe needed. I am going. If I have wronged him and you, it shall be atoned.
Sir John has given no sign. He is standing stunned. She turns to him.
I have heard and know now. I cannot ask for pity, but when I am gone, when it is over, I want you to give him this letter, and I want you too, to be as if I had never lived.
She lays the letter in his hand. Then, without a sign, Lady Cicely passes out. There is a great stillness in the house. Mrs. Harding has watched Lady Cicely and Sir John in amazement. Sir John has sunk into a chair.
John, for God's sake, what does it mean? This woman. Speak. There is something awful. I must know.
Yes, you must know. It is fate. Oh, Margaret, you do not know all. 2 years ago I married.
But this woman!
She was my wife.
And at this moment, Harding breaks into the room.
Cicely, I was too late. Mother! And you! Where is she? What is happening? I must know.
Sir John, as if following a mechanical impulse, has handed Harding the letter. He tears it open and reads.
Dearest, I am going away to die. It cannot be long now. The doctor told me today. That was why I couldn't speak or explain it to you, and was so strange at supper. But I am glad now. Goodbye. What have you done? Why have you driven her away? What right had you to her, you devil? I loved her. She was mine.
He has seized a pointed knife from the supper table. His shoulders are crouched. He is about to spring on Sir John. Mrs. Harding has thrown herself between them.
Jack, you mustn't strike!
Out of the way, I say.
Jack, you mustn't strike! Can't you understand? Don't you see what it is?
What do you mean? Stand back from me!
Jack, he is your father!
The knife clatters to the floor.
My God!
And then the curtain falls and there's a burst of applause. And in accordance with all the best traditions of the stage, 1 moment later, Lady Cicely and Mr. Harding and Sir John and Mrs. Harding are all bowing and smiling like anything. And even a little French maid sneaks on in the corner of the stage and simpers. The orchestra plays and the leopards sneak out, and the people in the boxes are all talking gaily to show that they're not the least affected. And everybody is wondering how it will come out, or rather, how it can possibly come out at all, because some of them explain that it's all wrong. Just as they're making it clear that there shouldn't be a third act, the curtain goes up and it's Act 3, 3 months later. The curtain rises on a drawing room in Mrs. Harding's house in London. Mrs. Harding is sitting at a table. She is sorting out parcels. There is a great air of quiet about the scene. The third act of a problem play always has to be very quiet. It is like a punctured football with the wind going out of it. The play has to just poof itself out noiselessly. For instance, this is the way it is done. Does Mrs. Harding start to talk about Lady Cicely and Jack in Paris? Not a bit. She is simply sorting out parcels and writing names and talking to herself so that the audience can get the names.
For the orphans' home. Poor little things. For the Foundlings Protection Society. For the Lost Infants Preservation League. Oh, poor children.
Now, what is this all about? What has this to do with the play? Why, don't you see that it is a symbol of philanthropy, of gentleness, of melancholy sadness? The storm is over, and there is nothing in Mrs. Harding's heart but pity. Don't you see that she is dressed in deeper black than ever? And do you notice the look on her face? That third act air, that resignation? Don't you see that the play is really all over? They're just letting the wind out of it.
Sir John Trevor.
Sir John steps in. Mrs. Harding goes to meet him with both hands out. Sir John is all in black. He is much aged, but very firm and very quiet.
My dear, dear friend.
I have come from meetings with the Homeless Newsboys League Committee and the Directorate of the Lost Waifs Encouragement Association. The poor lads.
The people who are not used to third acts are wondering what it is all about. The real playgoers know that this is atmosphere.
Tea? Shall I ring?
Pray do.
He seats himself with great weariness. The full melancholy of the third act is on him. The tea, which has been made for 3 acts, is brought in. They drink it and it begins to go to their heads. The atmosphere clears off just a little.
You have news, I know. You have seen him,
I have seen him.
and he is gone.
Yes, he has sailed. He went on board last night with only a few hours after my return to London. I saw him off. Poor Jack. Gatherson has been most kind. They will take him into the embassy at Lima. There, please God, he can begin life again. The Peruvian ambassador has promised to do all in his power.
Sir John sighs deeply and is silent. This is to let the fact soak into the audience that Jack has gone to Peru. Any reasonable man would have known it. Where else could he go to?
He will do well in Peru.
She is imitating a woman being very brave.
Yes, I trust so.
There is silence again. The whole third act is diluted with 30% silence.
You have other news, I know.
I have other news.
Of her.
Yes. I have been to Switzerland. I have seen the curé, a good man. He has told me all there is to tell. I found him at the hospice, busy with his œuvre de bienfaisance. He led me to her grave.
Sir John has bowed in deep silence. Lady Cicely dead. Everybody in the theatre gasps. Dead! But what an unfair way to kill her. To face an open death on the stage in fair hand-to-hand acting is one thing. But this new system of dragging off the characters to Switzerland between the acts and then returning and saying that they're dead is quite another.
And you? You will take up your work here again?
No, I am going away.
Going?
Yes, far away. I am going to Kafunistan.
To Kafunistan?
Yes, to Kafunistan. There's work there for me to do.
There is silence again.
And you? You will settle down here in London?
No, I am going away.
Going away?
Yes, back to Balawala. I want to be alone. I want to forget. I want to think. I want to try to realize.
You are going alone?
Yes, quite alone. But I shall not feel alone when I get there. The Maharani will receive me with open arms, and my life will be useful there. The women need me. I will teach them to read, to sew, to sing.
Mrs. Harding, Margaret, you must not do this. You have sacrificed your life enough. You have the right to live.
There is emotion in Sir John's tone. It is very rough on him to find his plan of going to Kafunistan has been outdone by Mrs. Harding's going to Balawala. She shakes her head.
No, my life is of no account now. But you, John, you are needed here. The country needs you. Men look to you to lead them.
No, my work lies there in Kafunistan. There is a man's work to be done there. The tribes are ignorant, uncivilized.
Pish-posh.
This dialogue
Kafunistan
goes
doesn't
on for
need
some
you.
time.
Your country here
Mrs. Harding
needs you.
keeps
Surely,
shaking her
Margaret,
head
you
and
must
saying that Sir
understand.
John must not go
There
to
are things a
Kafunistan.
man must do
And Sir John
to be
says
a
she
man.
must not go
I
to
understand
Balawala.
that I must
He
go.
protests
I
that he
must
wants
go
to work,
Balawala.
and she
The women
claims that
need
she
me,
wants to
but
try and
you,
think
not
clearly.
you.
There are other
But it is a
leaders,
bluff.
I am
They are
of
not
no
going.
importance, really.
Neither
Oh,
of
but
them.
you are.
And
You are
everybody
so
knows
important
it.
to me.
I know you'll try to talk me out of it, but I am determined.
You will think of me sometimes.
I shall never forget you.
I'm glad of that.
Wherever I am, I shall think of you. Out there in the deserts or at night, alone there among the great silent hills, with only the stars overhead, I shall think of you. Your face will guide me wherever I am.
He has taken her hand.
And you will think of me sometimes in Balawala?
Yes, always. All day while I am with the Maharani and her women, and at night, the great silent Indian night, when all the palace is asleep, and there is heard nothing but the sounds of the jungle, the cry of the hyena and the bray of the laughing jackass. I shall seem to hear your voice.
She is much moved. She rises, clenches her hands.
I have heard it so for 25 years.
Margaret!
John!
I cannot let you go. Your life lies here, with me, next to my heart. I want your help, your love, here, inside the beyond.
And as he speaks and takes her in his arms, the curtain sinks upon them, rises, falls, rises, and then sinks again, asbestos and all, and the play is over. The lights are on, the audience rises in a body and puts on its wraps. All over the theatre you can hear the words, perfectly rotten, utterly untrue, and so on.
The looming spectre of colonialism.
The general judgment seems to be that it is a perfectly rotten play, but very strong. They are saying this as they surge out in great waves of furs and silks, with black crush hats floating on billows of white wraps among the foam of gossamer scarves. Through it all is the squawk of the motor horn, the call of the taxi numbers, and the inrush of the fresh night air. But just inside the theatre, in the office, is a man in a circus waistcoat, adding up dollars with a blue pencil. He knows that the play is all right.
To learn more about us, go to tagtheatre.com. Want to help us make more content like this? Go to canadahelps.org and donate today. All links are in the description. Thank you for supporting community theatre.